How's everyone doing? Hello. Yeah, I know it's really wild seeing you all here this morning. Good morning. Hello. So, we have a lot to break down today. Wow, how did I manage to get here right away? Oh my goodness, did it give you a notification that I went live? Because that would be awesome if it did. Good morning, beautiful people. How are you all doing? Make sure to send some likes as you're jumping in here. We are going to be breaking down why we in America are in the place that we are. We're going to be breaking down why this moment has happened. Everything that has happened with TikTok, everything that has happened with the election. I'm going to be breaking down my understanding of just like looking at the facts, why things have happened the way that they have. Now, I will share my opinion in this, but it's also important to note I am here just sharing some raw, basic facts and information. So, to start off, please make sure you send some likes. We are all going to be talking about everything that's been happening with TikTok. Yes, we are back here. We're going to be talking about past actions, past statements, current contradictions, but then also current ramifications. We're going to be talking about the inauguration. We're going to be diving into social media consolidation. So I'm actually going to break down, you're like, who owns Google? Who owns YouTube? Who owns Meta? Who owns all of this? And like, what's their net worth? We're going to be breaking all of that down. I've made a lot of graphics about it. We're also going to talk about the inauguration. So let's start there. Yesterday was the inauguration. Someone said, hi, hater. Oh, who are you talking about? Because I don't hate anyone. Welcome back, USA. It was different without y'all. Oh, interesting. Hello, Jonah Tech. So I just want to start off here, and I appreciate every single one of you. Donald Trump, who likes to claim that he cares about the working class, some of the people that were front and center at his inauguration yesterday were some of the richest people in the world, but also that are the most prevalent social media CEOs and such. So Trump, a populist president, is flanked by right-wing or tech billionaires at his inauguration. Usually, as the Associated Press, which is an independent, nonpartisan outlet, was pointing out, most of these spots are taken for honored guests and family members, but yet a lot of them tended to be these super, super powerful, wealthy social media CEOs. Now, of course, Biden at the time was warning of oligarchy, which it's kind of funny because, and I'm saying this as someone who's very democratic, I think it's funny how, in a sense, Biden isn't wrong, but also there are definitely Democrats who participate in that exact system of oligarchy. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black in some ways. And by the way, please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. It really does help out the live stream. I am not one of these debaters that constantly tries to antagonize people. I'm here just giving you raw information, and you can decide what you want to think. Okay, I am here just giving you raw information. Front and center at Trump's inauguration yesterday, instead of a lot of family members, or usually spots are reserved for family members, happen to be a lot of tech CEOs that also tend to be super wealthy. Right here is Mark Zuckerberg, as with this. He kind of looks like a middle school nerd bro, bless his heart. Then there's Jeff Bezos, who is the founder of Amazon, which, by the way, if you do not know, Jeff Bezos and Amazon also own the Washington Post. So the reason why you don't typically see pieces in the Washington Post that are critical of the super wealthy, the elite, the establishment, whatever, is because also one of the richest men in the world owns the Washington Post. And that's his wife. She's really pretty. This is the CEO of Alphabet/Google, also owns YouTube. And then there's Elon Musk, who owns X, SpaceX, Tesla, all of it. They're all front and center at Trump's inauguration. Another picture, you can see Tim Cook, or as Trump calls him, Tim Apple. And you can see that's the CEO of TikTok right here. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. But here are some other pictures. Everyone here was front and center at Trump's inauguration. Now, I want to point out something. If this was an inauguration for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, I don't doubt that these people would be there. So let's be fair and critical here. I'm not saying that they wouldn't be there. I'm not saying that it also wouldn't be a huge problem or pose, some bias there. I'm specifically pointing out that Donald Trump does not seem to care a lot about the optics of putting these super, super wealthy, well-connected people right in front. What do you mean, pick me up? First off, I don't know who you are, River, and I'm not going to pick up anyone. That all being said, I'm just being fair here. Put the shoe on the other foot. If it was Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, it's likely that some of those people would be there, because when you look at the Federal Elections Commission financial disclosures, you also had these groups donating a lot of money to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't be there, but they might not be front and center. So while these people are front and center at the inauguration, I just want to point out that you're like, well, who are these people? I actually did my own little analysis. Prepare to learn something if you do not know. Now, you might have been like, I hear the name Elon Musk all the time. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Please make sure to send some likes. I work really hard to be raw and informative. I will share my opinions, but I'm also here to give you the tools to think critically for yourself. And if you are able to fund and help this platform, I do this all for free. I am going to try and build up a media company through subscriptions. That all being said, we need actual raw truth out there, because a lot of social media now is actually in the hands of these super wealthy people instead of in the hands of the people. That all being said, breaking this down, Elon Musk, this is a guy who owns X, formerly known as Twitter, Tesla, and SpaceX. This is the wealthiest guy in the world. Musk is the wealthiest individual of the world as of January of 2025, this month. Forbes estimates his net worth to be $421 billion. Also, Fidelity estimated that X, formerly known as Twitter, was worth $9.4 billion. This is about 79% less than the $44 billion that Elon Musk paid for the company in October of 2022. Meaning that X has actually been a huge loss under Elon Musk's leadership, under his purchase. He purchased it either for super overpriced, and now it's just been undervalued and undermined. But the reason why he's the wealthiest is because as of December of 2024, last month, SpaceX was valued at $350 billion. That made it the most valuable private startup in the world. Now, also there at the inauguration, front and center, was this guy, who is the CEO of Alphabet. I don't remember his specific name, but as of January 17th of 2025, Alphabet, which owns the entire Google suite as well as YouTube, their net worth of market cap is $2.40 trillion. Makes Alphabet, which is again the company that owns Google and YouTube, the fourth most valuable company in the world by market capitalization. Also there front and center was Meta, and this is Mark Zuckerberg. You can see that Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, and Threads. Meta has a market cap of net worth $1.55 trillion as of January 17th of 2025, and it's only increased by 74.75% in 1 year. You also had Tim Cook, or as Trump called him at one point, Tim Apple. As of January 17th, Apple's net worth was, or market cap was $3.46 trillion. This is a 20.69% increase from the previous year. Apple's net worth is the value of the company, which is calculated at its market capitalization, and is the largest company by market capitalization, either in the US or in the world. I'm not quite sure, given the information there. And last but not least, you also have Jeff Bezos right there. As you can see, his net worth or market cap was $2.38 trillion. That's a lot of money. This was an increase of 54.84 from the previous year. So, that all being said, it shows you how much wealth, how much money, how much power we've invested in just like a couple people or a few businesses. And they were all front and center at the inauguration. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just putting in perspective. It's important to understand that there is a huge role with government and the private sector and businesses. Oftentimes, no matter what their political affiliation is, they also work very, very intertwined. But what's super notable is the government is hypothetically supposed to serve the people, not the corporations, not the wealthy, not the well-connected, the people. The people. Having the optics of Donald Trump putting these super tech bro billionaire guys right at the front in his inauguration in spots that are very visible, very known, very apparent, is sending a sign. Now again, if this was Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be at the inauguration. They might not be front and center. I mean, these groups also contributed heavily to Kamala Harris, Tim Walz's campaign, not saying that there's no connection there. But for a president that likes to say that he's for the working class, putting these super elitist establishment wealthy people right at the front kind of shows that maybe it's all a fib. Maybe it's all a ruse. Just throwing it all out there. Some of the most exclusive seats at President Trump's inauguration on Monday was reserved for powerful tech CEOs, which happen to be amongst the world's richest men. That's a shift from tradition, especially for a president who has characterized himself as a champion of the working class. Seats so close to the president are usually reserved for the president's family, past presidents, and other honored guests. Photos show tech CEOs mingling with several of Trump's picks for the cabinet, including RFK as health secretary and Marco Rubio as secretary of state. In one image, Rubio looks from the background facing a lineup of tech's wealthiest leaders. Again, you have Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan stand beside Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos and his fiancée Lauren Sanchez, along with CEO of Google Sundar Pichai, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and Elon Musk, one of Trump's closest advisors. So, which again, Musk being one of Trump's closest advisors makes also a lot of sense and why he'd be front and center, but it also shows to the degree in which Donald Trump has cozied up with all of these super wealthy, well-connected tech bro billionaires, even though he likes to claim that he cares about working class people. Instead, if he really cared about working class people, why not put working class heroes right at the front? So, what's also interesting is Donald Trump was speaking in the Oval Office Monday, where Trump rejected Biden's criticism, saying that tech executives supported Democrats until they realized, quote, Biden didn't know what he was talking about. Didn't know. Hold on, I need my hands. I need the hands. Biden, he didn't know. He didn't know what he was talking about. Let me tell you, they abandoned him. They jumped ship. And they said, Rose, I'm going to jump the ship. It's bad. That's bad. They did desert him. They were all over him, every one of them, and now they're all with me. Now, despite taking millions from the executives and their companies for his inaugural committee and receiving more than $200 million in assistance from Musk in the presidential campaign, Trump claims that he didn't need their money and they wouldn't be receiving anything in return. They're not going to get anything from me. I don't need money, but I do want the nation to do well. They're smart people and they create a lot of jobs. What's really interesting is let's analyze that really quickly. Donald Trump is saying they're not going to get anything from me. Do you like the little hands? I think they're cute. And please make sure to send some likes if you're enjoying the content and the breakdown. I appreciate every single one of you. You all mean a lot to me. Shout out to all of my moderators. Now, two things I just want to point out. Of course, you have these tech people donate to Donald Trump, but you also had these tech people voting or donating to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I mean, Kamala Harris raised over $1 million for her campaign at one point. She raised more than Trump, just being completely fair. When you look at the Federal Elections Commission financial disclosures, you do see that. Our government is massively bought by these wealthy corporations on both sides of the aisle, frankly. And if you want to say one more than the other, sure, whatever. It's typically tends to be more Republican, but I'm not surprised that Kamala decided to do more of it this time. That all being said, this all goes against the will of the people. It's funny how Donald Trump is like, oh, they're not going to get anything from me. Despite Elon Musk giving me $200 million in assistance for the presidential campaign, he's not going to get anything. Why in the world, then, is Donald Trump going out of his way trying to get Greenland? What does Greenland have that we as America might want? Oh, and when I say we as America, I mean corporations might want. Oh, we got the resources. Oh, like rare earth metals. Oh, which are used in electric vehicles. So it seems awfully convenient that nowhere in like Donald Trump's actual run for the president was he talking about trying to get Greenland, or if he did, it was not a massive topic of discussion. Yet now he seems obsessed with it. So it's funny how Donald Trump is like, they're not going to get anything from me. They're not going to get, it's not happening. They gave me the money, but you can't buy me. You can't buy me. Yet he's going out of his way trying to do things that undoubtedly benefit these wealthy tech bro billionaires. Now, correlation does not equal causation, except for when it does. So why in the world are they going out of their way to acquire Greenland? Who knows? Maybe it's to get those resources. Pure and simple. Just throwing it out there. Also, please do not type in all caps. It's kind of childish. Now, again, I just want to point out, speaking of tech bro billionaires that were front and center at Trump's inauguration, when you look at it, these companies own a lot. And this is social media. You have most all social media apps controlled by these people. I know it's hard to see. This is the most popular social media apps as of April of 2024. So you have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok as some of the most popular up there. And look at all of that. Happens to all be owned by American companies. Now you have WeChat. WeChat is not super popular in the United States. I believe it's more popular abroad, like in China. You have Facebook Messenger, Telegram, Snapchat. I'm not sure about Telegram, but Snapchat is owned by an American company as well. I just want to point out that most social media apps are owned and operated by American companies. X, formerly known as Twitter, Google, and YouTube, all owned by Alphabet, an American guy. Meta, all of them owned by an American company. Also, Apple, an American company. Amazon, Washington Post, American companies. Democrat here, Greenland would be huge help with land strategy against adversaries. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be, but is it right for us as the United States to whine our way into getting territory and just saying, we're just going to take it? Yeah, technically you have Denmark. They're the ones that technically have ownership of it. It is their adjacent territory, but we're just going to do a Christopher Columbus and we're just going to take it. It's ours now. It's ours now. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be good for the United States, but is it right for us to do that? Make colonialism great again? No. So I just want to point out that all of these social media apps, most all of them are American owned and operated. American owned and operated. Again, let me just highlight it. Meta, all of Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Threads, Messenger. Alphabet, which owns Google and YouTube. Microsoft, which I didn't even include on here, which also owns LinkedIn, by the way. X, formerly known as Twitter. And Amazon, Washington Post. There's even more. And you also have Apple, also an American owned and operated company. These are the world's largest software tech companies. What one is a huge rival not on that list? You might find yourself on it right now. And that is TikTok. Why did America want to ban TikTok? Why did the American government want to ban TikTok? They like to say it was for cybersecurity reasons. Oh, and y'all, please make sure to send some likes. I work super hard to deliver this content. If my moderators if you all can actually remind people in the chat, if you just type a little message saying, hey, Scott works really, really hard to provide this. Can you please send some likes? It really does help out the algorithm. I work super, super hard. I'm not one of these people that does endless debate lives trying to be provocative and drama seeking, like, oh my god, I platform opposition only. No. I'm here to give you raw news and information. You can think for yourself. We need more of that in the United States. I appreciate every single one of you, especially my moderators. They do great work. That being said, don't come in here and be a jerk, okay? You can have your opinions, that's fine, but don't be a jerk. And you know when you're being a jerk. Cool. So all of these are American-owned and operated companies, except for TikTok. Oh, that's interesting. You have all of these people lining up right in front and center at Trump's inauguration. Front and center, right there at Trump's inauguration. And all these big social media apps, tech billionaires, all of it. Now, TikTok, again, that's the word in everyone's front of mind. Why did the American government want to ban TikTok? Because in America, if we do not own it, we ban it. Period. End of story. Also, TikTok in itself, the reason why it was banned and now it's back and all of it, you can say it's partially because of Trump. Sure. I think it's funny how Donald Trump was trying to take credit for everything before he was even in office. Yesterday was his first day in office, yet TikTok was back up before he was in office. But I'm not saying that he didn't do at least something, but also it seems kind of convenient to take credit for all of it. That being said, banning TikTok was a bipartisan thing. If you all remember, and I can go back to the actual legislation here, banning TikTok was very much a bipartisan thing. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle wanted to ban TikTok, Democrats and Republicans. It happened under the Trump administration, or it happened under the Biden administration. But where did it initially start? Well, actually, the initial start of this whole idea of banning TikTok came with Donald Trump, one of Donald Trump's first executive orders. And with that executive order, he specifically was talking about, and this is the bill to actually ban TikTok, as you can see right here. It was written by a Republican, Mike Gallagher, and introduced. It passed 352 to 65, 14 not voting, 1 present. And you can see how it was a bipartisan piece of legislation. A lot of more Republicans voted yes on it than Democrats, but still it's very bipartisan there. Just as a quick little refresher for those people who are not familiar, President-elect Donald Trump, he used to actually be a huge critic of TikTok. And now he's conveniently flipped. Why? Because in his words, the app was great for my campaign. If you all remember back in August of 2020, and y'all please make sure to send some likes. I work really hard to deliver this content. Then President Trump issued an executive order in August of 2020 requiring TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell, spin off, or shut down the app's U.S. operations, citing credible evidence the company might take action that threatens to impair the national security of the United States. Now, interestingly, President Joe Biden ultimately rescinded the order, but following further reporting of Chinese government influence over TikTok, in April of 2024, Congress and Biden signed and passed a bipartisan piece of legislation insisting that TikTok be sold to an American company, or we as America would ban it. Period. End of story. Now, what are some of the quiet parts out loud on why they want to ban TikTok? Well, number one, if America doesn't own it, we're just going to ban it. Doesn't America own enough? Like, I'm just being real. We as America have a lot of tech, social media, news media infrastructure. We own almost everything. Again, Alphabet, which owns YouTube and Google, an American company. Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, Threads, an American company. X, formerly known as Twitter, also run by Elon Musk, who owns SpaceX, and also, Tesla, all American-owned and operated companies. Amazon, which owns the Washington Post, as well as Jeff Bezos, which owns Amazon and the Washington Post, American companies. Apple, American companies. It is notable that the United States, if they cannot control something, they want to ban it. When when you get on here, do you have talking points, or are these just thoughts? I'm just breaking down news and information. I'm putting it all out there. Like, I'm assembling facts and information, and you can come to your own conclusion. I'm not here telling you what to think. I'm giving you the tools to think critically. Just trying to inform everyone else who's working class and middle class of the reality that in this country we are run by an oligarchy disguised as a democracy. If you cannot handle that, scroll on. Scroll on. So, all of this being said, if America does not own the app, we want to ban the app. Well, also, American citizens were starting to be really informed of our country's excessive amount of sending weapons and money to Israel, which was performing a genocide on on people in Gaza and Palestinians. They wanted to ban TikTok because of national security concerns, which, let's actually put up those national security concerns. Let's bring that to the forefront. Let's bring it to the forefront. All right, so they were like, oh, well, we're concerned about national security. National security. All right. Now, if you're concerned about national security for China to be able to see our data or whatever, then why don't we ban all apps that are owned and operated by foreign entities? All of them. That includes Shein. That includes Temu. All foreign social media, foreign platforms, apps. Why not ban all of them? Why only TikTok? Well, TikTok is a social media app that conveniently happens to be a great place where ordinary citizens actually inform other ordinary citizens and have a public discourse around bringing corruption to light in the United States. Well, what makes Shein and Temu different? Oh, they're e-commerce platforms. They're business. They are there to sell a product, make money. TikTok is an app that a lot of people take to often expose the hypocrisies of the government. That's not convenient at all, right? Well, it's important to note that this also creates a complicated precedent. In America, if we don't own something, we ban it. Let's say France, the UK. Let's say that South Africa, Egypt, Afghanistan. It doesn't matter what the country is. If they don't own it, they ban it. You know what America would say to that? They would say, that's communist. That's Marxist. That's socialist. That's government corruption. That's authoritarianism. We do it, and it's like, we're just protecting national security. We're just protecting our own citizens. We're doing it because we don't want countries trying to brainwash our citizens. Why is it that we have a different standard when it comes to other countries, but have one standard when it comes to other countries and then a different standard when it comes to us? And people might say, oh my God, Scott, you're about to make it woke. It's because in America, we view ourselves as exceptional, above the rules, better than anyone else. At least our government does. Our government likes to put other countries in a heads I win, tails you lose situation where if it doesn't benefit the American government, they don't care about an ideology. They don't care about a belief system. They're only going to do whatever they need to then benefit themselves. And this is when I, as an American citizen, say, do you not care about global stability, global rights, global sovereignty, global respect? Do you not care about the absolute hypocrisy of our country and how it affects our citizens? In this world, we need more empathy and global cooperation, not more division, anger, and all of that. When you have such a blatant double standard that even I as an American citizen see, it's like, you need to stop. You need to stop. TikTok is the sacrificial lamb for the government's way of trying to cover up their oligarchy disguised as a democracy. Did that make as much sense as I thought it did? TikTok happens to be the sacrificial lamb, the app that is on the chopping block because they're like, oh, they were so explicit with their corruption. It was so explicit. Were you all on my live stream on Friday? So on Friday, Representative Ro Khanna, who's a Democrat who represents Silicon Valley, actually happened to scroll into the live stream. But I just want to point out that Ro Khanna, who actually is a representative that voted against the TikTok ban, came in to the live stream and actually wasn't saying like explicitly you're right, but hinting at it that you're right. I'll be posting the live stream later on my YouTube in like the coming days, because I've been trying to post all of my stuff to YouTube. Specifically, Ro Khanna has a quote that I wanted to highlight here. So, lawmakers near Silicon Valley have argued that the ban is a violation of First Amendment rights in a debate questioning whether or not the app is a threat to national security. Quote, 71% of Americans want data to protect data privacy. Only 31% actually want to ban TikTok. Congress, doesn't understand, in my view, all the social media and how it's working, and B, is out of touch with what the American people want, said Representative Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California that represents Silicon Valley. He explicitly was like, so pass a law, one, to prevent these apps, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, from collecting your data and buying and selling it. That bill has actually been sitting in the House Commerce Committee for years, and it doesn't move. Second, pass a law that if there is evidence that the data goes to China, then Oracle and TikTok would be held liable, civilly or criminally. And AOC also points this out. I also want to, I can't play videos over live stream, but AOC recently took to TikTok and actually had a couple of really, really good videos within the past like 24, 36 hours that I want to actually, I can't play it for you, but because I'm clever, I went in, downloaded the video, and I have the captions here to show you exactly what she said. She said, last year when they brought up the ban for a vote, number one, they said it's national security issues. National security. I said, okay, that's serious. Let's see the case. Let's see the intelligence, is what she said here. Going further, she said, I can tell you that what was presented, and y'all, please make sure to send some likes. I work super hard to give you this information. I'm not one of these people that constantly is like, wah, opposition only. And I don't understand why people constantly spam like those lives. Y'all, we need to be ethical consumers of social media and stop prioritizing drama, provocative nature, and clickbait TikTok live streams meant to fuel division, and instead we need to incentivize raw information, journalism, good creators that put in a lot of effort, money, and time into doing this kind of stuff, instead of prioritizing creators that are lazy and instead just put up a provocative graphic and then say, debate me, bro. Sorry, like, I know some of those people have genuinely good discussions, but most of them, sorry, even some of them are my friends too. I'm just, that might be a hot take, but just needs to be said. We actually need creators that provide raw information. And so, going back to this, AOC is saying, last year when I brought this ban up for a vote, number one, they said it was national security issues. And I said, okay, that's serious, but let's see the case. Let's see the intelligence. I can tell you that what was presented to all of those members voting on this thing was not very compelling. There was no real information that was given. It was a smoking gun. That wasn't anything specific. And it was vague and not convincing. And she said, and frankly, it was not very convincing to many others as well, other members as well. In fact, very high-ranking members on the House Foreign Affairs Committee came to me after the briefing, and they were very, very shocked. And they were very shocked and very surprised at the lack of substantive information in the briefing. Then they were genuinely expecting there to be something real or compelling or intelligence shared that would substantiate the argument, and there wasn't. And there just wasn't. And they're surprised by the lack of information presented. And then additionally, the bill, which is very large and substantive in terms of its impact, came to the Energy and Commerce Committee, and it was marked up and brought to the floor in a matter of weeks. And she's like, I'm just trying to remember, it was just a few weeks. And it was very fast. Very fast. And then she says, additionally, the degree in which corporations surveil the American people without genuine consent and without real mechanisms for opting out should be illegal, point blank, period. And so many of us naturally said the answer is not just playing endless whack-a-mole games with apps, like banning TikTok. Instead, the answer should actually be that we should have real data privacy legislation to protect consumers of data in the United States. And we should help people with their own information and have greater agency over the information. And so, just point blank, she said, so they're not being spied on all the time, whether that's a domestic company or a foreign company. So we need to actually have privacy laws in the United States, to which, of course, big tech is going to fight and fight against, and their lobbies are going to fight against. So they just decide to target an app instead of targeting the problem. And then lastly, when this thing was passed, all these legislators were like, those who were supported it, like, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big, it's not a ban. It's not a ban, is what she said. First of all, they provided very little time for that app that big to be forced in a sale. Like, hello, it's very large, but not leaving time for a sale, so it got banned. So here we are. Now, of course, it is back again, and you all got this notification, right? You all got this notification saying, welcome back. Thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the US. Now, I want to point out that everyone got this notification before Trump even was sworn back in with the inauguration. What's my point? I'm not here to try and... Newsflash, I'm not here trying to tell you what to think. I'm not here trying to tell you what to believe. I'm here giving you raw information, and you can come to the conclusions yourself. The fact here that when we all logged back on to TikTok, we saw this notification saying, as a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the US. Now, AOC goes to break down here this whole thing. She says, now I want you to put the pieces together, because what this effectively means is that every social media platform, mass social media platform in the United States has been taken over by the right wing, with the exception of Blue Sky. But Blue Sky is still very small. So when I say put all the pieces together, Elon Musk took over Twitter, and there's open reporting. It's pretty obvious that they have manipulated the algorithms. We'll be going further on that. Please make sure to send some likes. And then Meta, you have Mark Zuckerberg, and, you know, we're on Instagram right now. She said she did all of this over Instagram and posted it to TikTok, saying that they're basically also bending the knee to Trump with their changes to fact-checking, regardless of how effective that was in the first place. It's an open signal that now TikTok is saying, hey, we are agreeing that we will use our push notification system for all 170 million American users to promote Donald Trump. Just understand that the government announcements like this with companies, they never name politicians. They will usually name a law or a policy. TikTok is making explicit agreement to do just that. To do this. And if I were a betting person, they probably made a deal with Donald Trump to not just let push notifications, they also probably consider algorithmic changes, which is ironic because at a time when people voted for the TikTok ban, there was a lot of pro-Palestinian content, and that argument was being used as somehow anti-American, which, you know, human rights, I guess supporting human rights is somehow bad. So it all comes together. It's all just congealing, making a lot of sense now on why things happen the way that they have. And with that being said, I want to talk about how most all social media apps companies like this are controlled, and they are bending the knee to Donald Trump. Now, they are deciding to go easy on their criticism of him. Whether it's rightful or wrongful, I'm not here to tell you what to think. They are deciding to change their algorithms based on perceived right-wing anti-bias, which is interesting because when you analyze social media, there is a huge right-wing influence that has been growing over the years. As Media Matters for America, which is a nonpartisan, nonprofit news outlet, explains, Zuckerberg and Meta are done pretending to care about mitigating the harms their platforms cause. Before President-elect Donald Trump has even taken office, Meta is again capitulating to false right-wing claims of anti-conservative bias and censorship, announcing that it will end fact-checking and remove most content moderation from its platforms. Both the substance of the changes and messaging from Meta mirror and are seemingly a direct appeal to Trump and MAGA media, who have spent years claiming to be defenders of free expression and victims of censorship. But Meta's announcement omits two key facts: that right-leaning Facebook content has consistently outperformed left-leaning, and has also caused real-world harm, helping foment January 6th insurrection, and also contributing to vaccine hesitancy and anti-LGBTQ sentiment. Going further, that on January 7th, 2 weeks before Trump takes office, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg released a video, first shared by Fox News, saying that the recent elections also feel like a, quote, cultural tipping point, once again towards prioritizing speech. Now pause. He is saying, oh, we are prioritizing speech. Okay, you're prioritizing speech, even if that speech is factually incorrect, which, yes, people have the right to share what they want, share what they say, you and me both, but not having just raw, accurate information out there is a huge problem for American social media consumers, world social media consumers. Because there's a difference between a fact and an opinion. And if you do not have groups that actually go through and correct when some people will claim something is factual when it's not, you pose a real danger towards misinforming a whole bunch of people. And it is very scary to think that people's ignorance can be weaponized by anyone, doesn't matter their political affiliation, to then go in and decide what they can and cannot do to form an authoritarian style-like leadership. Just pointing it all out there. Now, going forward, this is what he said, quote, "We're going back to our roots and focusing on reducing our mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression. More specifically, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes," is what he said. Now, for years, right-leaning conservatives and media politicians have falsely claimed that they're being censored on Facebook and other social media platforms, even though, as an internal audit in 2019 from Senator John Eel, a Republican from Arizona, found no evidence of such bias, and Media Matters and other researchers and journalists have repeatedly found no evidence of such bias. That does not stop Meta and other social media platforms from rolling back policies favoring right-wing figures and content, and bending rules enabled to favor conservatives and their speech. I just want to point out that between January 1st and September 21st of 2021, Media Matters analysis found that 7 of the 10 top political news-related pages and interactions were right-leaning pages. So, for people saying anti-right-wing censorship, sure, you're sure making a lot of top headlines, just pointing that out. Other top pages including Dan Bongino, The Daily Mail, Breitbart, Newsmax, Trending World, by the Epoch Times. These are all super right-leaning pages. Also, a follow-up study covering 9 months of 2021 found that right-leaning pages outperformed others. So, while they were screaming that there is anti-right-wing bias on all of these platforms, they're performing at the highest visibility. That's a lot like Goldilocks gaslighting people, saying that she's hungry after eating all of the meals for all the bears. Like, it is absolute trash. An analysis of the top daily Facebook posts from October 2021 through April of 26th of 2022 found that right-leaning pages often accounted for the top daily Facebook posts. And you can see how they cite their sources here. Right-leaning pages earned a greater proportion of interactions on related posts. And you can see that more than ever before. It goes on and on, y'all. They document all of this so thoroughly. As Florida's Don't Say Gay bill advanced and was signed into law in 2022, right-leaning pages dominated discussions of the legislation. So, what's so interesting is, there was anti-right-wing media censorship for years and years and years. People were saying, there's been it. When they were the ones performing at the highest rates, for them to be capitulated, for them to be elevated, it's interesting in that way. And then you can say, it is very much a tit for tat thing, because all of these corporations are now conveniently lining up front and center at Trump's inauguration. This very same companies that are rolling back policies meant to actually put in place fact-checking. Oh, we're prioritizing speech instead of fact-checking. Okay. So you're just weaponizing the ignorance of people and misinforming them for the greed of corporations to take advantage of them. Furthermore, banning other actual competition apps like TikTok because America doesn't own them. And furthermore, exploiting Americans using their ignorance as a way for you to make money. It all is coming together, y'all. It all makes sense. I'm just here giving raw information. That all being said, when you put the pieces of everything together, these tech bro billionaire people saying that they're changing their algorithms to favor Donald Trump and favor, they're like, oh, we're going through to get rid of fact checking, at the same time that they donate millions of dollars to his campaign, front and center of at the inauguration, and Donald Trump's recent actions of trying to just take Greenland. Yeah, that seems very, very coincidental, considering that Elon Musk, who owns SpaceX, Tesla, wants the raw super rare earth metals that is under Greenland's ice caps. And then when you put in place, oh, they want to ban TikTok because all these American owned and operated social media companies, the one big competitor in town, as soon as it's not owned by America, they want to ban it. Which that very same app, what we find ourselves on, happens to also be one of the biggest social media apps to criticize the hypocrisy of the American government and the corruption and the greed and the greed of the establishment and these corporations from marginalizing people of color, but also economically just what they call as business is just also robbing America. It's so notable that when you look at all of the pieces being put together, what Biden said it was an oligarchy, even though some Democrats definitely play into that oligarchy all the time. So it's kind of the pot calling the kettle black in that sense. But it doesn't mean that he's necessarily wrong. And putting all of this in place here, it all makes sense why TikTok was tried to be banned. It's because the American government used TikTok as their sacrificial lamb to cover up their own corruption. It really is such a frustrating political moment in that way because we as the American people are never the winners of that story. It's always the rich, the wealthy, the powerful that make that win. They're the ones that are the heads I win, tails you lose. They always end up winning. And when they go for the jugular of trying to ban TikTok, because this is the one app in which working class, middle class people, whether you are black, whether you are white, whether you are Asian, whether you are Latino, whether you are gay, whether you are straight, we all can come on this app and actually have a public forum. And when the Supreme Court decides that it is not against free speech to ban an app such as this, it really shows that democracy in itself is honestly a ruse for the oligarchy that continues to have a grip on America. And it is exhausting having to live in this timeline instead of actually have a populist president, instead of having a progressive president that actually cares, instead of having a government that cares about its people and living up to its American promise that we see in the Constitution that we always learn about in school. America is the biggest hypocrite of all hypocrites on the world stage. We have one set of beliefs that applies to us and another that applies to everyone else. And it is absolute supremacy. And it's documented by all of the facts that I've laid out on this political live stream. And all is coming together. If you're a quiet listener and you have just been listening and you understand what I'm talking about, just type the word yes. I want to make sure, I know it was a little bit ranty there at the end, but if you are like, Scott, what you're saying, it all makes so much sense. It all makes so much sense. Everything that you've broken down here. Okay, cool. I'm so glad to see that a lot of people are saying yes. Because the reason, and I can go into why Joe Biden lost, why Donald Trump won, and everything that is happening. Do you all have any questions? Good faith questions. How do we get through this? How do we fight back? How do we fight back against an oligarchy? How do we fight back against these tech bro billionaires that have so much control over our media? How do we fight back against these people? Here's my advice. We need to stop amplifying culture wars. Period. End of story. Just stop. Just stop. We need to stop constantly going for each other's throats and the jugular about being gay or being trans or whatever, or trying to marginalize people based on race, sex, gender. Leave people alone. Let them be them. We have a bigger problem on our hands than any sort of social divisions. Do people not realize that the whole culture war is a distraction from the economic oligarchy that is monitored by both parties, but a little bit more than the other? But that all being said, the culture war is a distraction to keep everyone busy with a divide and conquer scam instead of actually questioning the real power in this country. The real power in this country is not based on social identities. It is not based on your sex or your gender. It really is based particularly amongst the economic class, the super, super wealthy elite, which tend to be more white men. So there is a social aspect there, but we need to, instead of addressing it from an identity standpoint, address it from a haves and have-nots. When you stop feeding into the culture war and just leave people alone, leave people alone, it really makes a lot of sense. It really makes a lot of sense. So what can we do from here? Instead of feeding into and playing into the hands of the wealthy and the elite, we actually need to band together. So Democrats, yes. Unfortunately, that means that we do need to interlock arms with people that probably voted to take away our human rights. Doesn't mean we have to forgive them or forget them, but we have a way bigger problem. The way bigger problem is you have these economic billionaires constantly, it's their way of business, but what it is really looting the country and siphoning money off of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars. Democracy is a ruse for the oligarchy in which these people foster. So, and for conservatives, for these right-wing people, yes, it means that you might have to interlock arms with a trans person that goes by they, them pronouns, that has a nose ring, that has blue hair. It means that you might have to interlock arms with those people. As a society, we need to stop feeding into the misinformation they want us to participate in. That is not to delegitimize the very important, very, very, very important social rights that are taken away from people, whether that is the right to have bodily autonomy, whether that is the right to have a gender assignment surgery, whether that is the right for someone to freely exercise and feel safe and freely exercise their sexuality. I mean, I'm not saying that I know everything, but there is such real important things that happen, but also that is it. Oftentimes, if we just stop and left each other alone, if we stopped constantly fueling and fighting the culture war, stopped, if the right wing would stop antagonizing, like people just existing, then we would not have this issue. Why is it that the right-wing media constantly tries to make everything about social issues? Why? Why do they not actually go after the economic root in this country? Because it's a divide and conquer scam. And why does MSNBC, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, PBS, or any of the more mainstream outlets that tend to be a little bit more liberal or Democrat, why do they, instead of actually questioning the economic root, the economic corruption, they only fight Republicans on the social culture war issues? Because it becomes this good cop, bad cop kind of thing. But at the end of the day, they don't actually go for the real people, the rich, the wealthy, the powerful, the establishment, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, and your political speech. The way that we can fight back is through education and through banding together and not playing into their hands. This is why Bernie Sanders was such a revolutionary politician. Do you all remember Bernie Sanders? The Republican and Democratic establishments were like, we can't let this guy win. Because Bernie Sanders, he had flaws, but he was able to be like, socially, leave everyone alone. Leave them alone. Just leave them alone. We have the bigger problem in this country. Why was Bernie stifled out of the election? Because the Democratic establishment would rather have taken a gander with trying to stop Bernie Sanders and elect someone that was more moderate to continue their same economic business as usual status quo kind of corruption than actually have a real working class progressive populist person. They'd have rather stopped an FDR style person. And this is where we as Americans deserve so much better. Far sales, I'm not your enemy. I'm not your enemy here. I'm not your enemy. We also need to stop, as working class, middle class people of all different ethnicities, genders, sexes, sexualities, stop trying to make it an us versus them thing. We're like, it's not about Democrats versus conservatives. It's not about, liberals versus Republicans. It's not about that. Democrats are way too radical. First off, that is an opinion. Do we know the difference between a fact and an opinion? That it is important to point out that your opinion, my opinion, is not fact. Anyway, and this is why I'm also so passionate about those live streams that are constantly like opposition only, because they feed into the very system. They feed into the very system that I'm talking about. It's meant as a divide and conquer scam. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. I'm going to be making some posts about it, just in general. But did I make as much sense as I thought I did on the live stream when pointing out all this information? Because the pieces have really come together, and especially in the last, 2 weeks. It really has come together. Opossum, thank you. Yes, you have? Okay, awesome. There are also quiet listeners that often don't reveal themselves. If you're a quiet listener and you were here the whole time, or a good chunk of the time when I was going over all of this information and providing that analysis, you obviously can have different opinions or a different takeaway. But if you were here, at least just comment your favorite emoji. If you were a quiet listener and you were just taking in the information, I went through so much stuff. First off, showing that all these people were front and center at Trump's inauguration, showing how much money that they have and how much control that they have over just the wealth in this country, how all of these social media tech bros are basically bending the knee to Trump because it's convenient for them, and how much money that they make, and how TikTok is the one sole competitor that then conveniently, if it's not sold to an American company, we're going to ban it. Well, they say it's for cybersecurity concerns, when in reality, if they actually cared about cybersecurity, they would pass federal protections for data and privacy that also these domestic companies like Alphabet, Google, YouTube, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X would also have to follow. But they don't care about that because it's easy for them to want to conveniently ban a social media app like TikTok that happens to put a lot of creators, given them a platform that actually allows us to connect with one another, working class, middle class people, to actually hold accountable our own government. And also, the elephant in the room is Gaza. Americans became too informed about it. So under the Biden administration, Democrats decided to join Republicans in banning TikTok. What's also so interesting here is Donald Trump has then done a complete 180 reverse, because he's like, I like TikTok. TikTok was good to me. TikTok helped me win my campaign. My campaign was stronger because of TikTok. What's also really interesting is that a lot of Trump's advisors that he has appointed and put in his cabinet, like Michael Walz. For those people who do not know, Michael Walz is a Republican representative from Florida that was named National Security Advisor. And this is the very same guy that was like, TikTok is an arm of the communists and threatens the safety of all Americans. He said, we can't let the Chinese Communist Party use TikTok to propagandize millions of Americans. This is a guy that Donald Trump put as the national security advisor. Obviously, I guess he's had a change in tune because now Trump is like, I want to save TikTok. He's like, okay. And he also was like, the Biden campaign should be ashamed of themselves for joining TikTok and legitimizing this app and the harm it's doing to our kids for its own political gain. Oh, but now you want to save TikTok because of the perceived ability for right-wing companies or right-wing leaning companies to acquire it. See, the hypocrisy is put on full display, and the American people deserve media that isn't just meant to propagandize and actually benefit off of the ignorance. A lot of Americans are like, it's so hard to want to know what's going on politically because it's just so much. And what do we trust? What do we know? That's why I want to do what I do. I want to build up a media company that actually is rooted in raw information, actually helping, looking out for the American people, that is held accountable by the people. I want to build it, and like, maybe this is me as a younger, like, old, or as a younger person, like, of the older Gen Zs. I want to build up a media company so that we as Americans aren't given a filtered view of facts and information. Something that actually is like, here's the raw, here's the skinny, here's the information. You and I can have different opinions on this. There are things that are up for debate. And some things are not up for debate, like human rights. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, because it really comes together. It really comes together. It's also funny how, like, Marco Rubio, who Donald Trump put as Secretary of State, also is saying that TikTok is a, quote, Trojan horse and danger to America. So now they've changed their tune, or this is what they truly still do believe. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just providing past clarifications. So obviously they've changed their tune, which you can say is good or bad or whatever. This is just something that he said. So, and by the way, that's Michael Walls, the national security advisor that Donald Trump appointed. So, anyway. Whew, I need to, just the facts, ma'am. It all just comes together. And I need to make this into, I need to make videos about this. So I need to make some videos about this. And I need to take a break from going live because I've been live for a little bit. But thank you, Gunkel. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you that are in here. Seriously, it means a lot to me that that you all are here. And I think over the weekend, I really did, I think, make some breakthroughs. I didn't realize it until this morning. You were glad to have come across me. Well, thank you, Opossum Apostle. I'm giving you a follow back. You know, it's so funny because Opossum Apostle, I've been doing this for a couple years, and I'm still trying to grow, and I'm still trying to get out there. You get my Zillennial references. I absolutely do. You were amazing and speak the truth. Thank you, Bite Dance. Thank you, Brad Walker. So, was driving, but so glad to be here. Aww. Are you on Blue Sky? I am on Blue Sky. You all can follow me on Blue Sky. If you go to my profile, you can actually find the Linktree link to go and check out my Blue Sky. But also, I have a post on my page saying like, hey, this is my Blue Sky. So my profile is Scott Johnson from tt.bluesky.social. So go and check that out. I am also on Rednote, although I'm not on Rednote as much, I think, because I've also kind of looked into it more, and I think I don't want a surge of American users to then ban Red Note for people in China and all of that stuff. It's a long story, but I can make a post about it. Basically, you have such a huge surge of American users that it's actually destabilizing Chinese citizens and their ability to use their own app. And it also is used by Chinese citizens to connect with their past, their extended family overseas here in America. So like if they ban it in the United States, it kind of limits access to them. But also, I've heard some things about it. So I'm just not going to do as much on it right now. I'm going to be focusing more on Blue Sky, on YouTube, not necessarily Threads. I really don't want to, there's Fanbase and there's Clapper. There's also other social media apps, that I'm going to be really trying to lean into and not use Meta, Alphabet, like, YouTube and X and all of that as much. So, they aren't separating the VPNs for Red Note. Yeah. So, anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. You all are awesome. Shout out to all of my amazing moderators in here. I love you. Stop Asking. Joanna Tech. You all are awesome. Gunkle. Do I know about 3-5? No, I don't. Ginger Monster. I appreciate you, Gunkle. Tia Bia. Love you. Bite Dance. You're awesome. Opossum Apostle. I'm so glad you were in here. Rainbow Bright. Love you. I've seen vids from Chinese people asking us not to be there. Yeah, I've also heard that. I feel like we're taking their spaces. Yeah, that's also important to note. Female Warrior, you're awesome. Brad Walker, hello, love ya. KJ, who else was in here? Kate, love you. Akicha. Who else was in here? I want to make sure and give shout outs to everyone. MJ, love you, MJ. C-Bar, love you, C-Bar. Sunshine, thank you so much. Aw, thank you. Heather, are you unfavorited yet? No, I need to go and check that out. DJ, Megan Jones. Aw, thank you. Appreciate you. So, anyway, I need to skedaddle, get to work. Now, just remember, yes, go and follow me on all of my other social medias. Y'all, if you go to my profile here, and you click on this link tree, you'll go to this whole page where you can see all of them. So, you can see all of them. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. Gail Snail, yes, you too. Just remember, and thank you for that, Ginger Monster. Just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved. You are valid. You are strong. And you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!